Today on Sports Central, we go over a college football game preview and prediction on a big matchup coming up here in the SEC in Week 4 of this 2021 college football season, and that's going to be between the LSU Tigers and the Mississippi State Bulldogs, two teams that are 2-1 heading into this matchup. Big game for both these teams in determining which team will be more of a contender in this 2021 season. So that being said, we'll be going over a full game preview and prediction on this matchup here today, starting out with your team trends. Last week, LSU beat Central Michigan. 49-21 was the final score there. Overall, solid win for LSU. And obviously, the Tigers lost at UCLA in Week 1. That's where their one loss came from. And I mean, obviously, UCLA is a talented football team on the road, but I mean, LSU's had some ground to make up, certainly from that loss there. And overall, past 2 weeks, I mean, they beat McNeese State pretty significantly, and overall, good win against Central Michigan. So LSU is playing pretty well right now, and this will be a huge game for them. I mean, just to get a bounce-back win on the road against a decent SEC opponent. Mississippi State last week lost at Memphis by 2, 29-31 was the final score there. Tough loss for Mississippi State. I mean, yeah, this Bulldog team is still pretty talented, but that was an unfortunate loss for sure at Memphis, but it was a very close game without a doubt. I mean, both teams definitely had a chance to win that matchup. Mississippi State is 2-1 heading into this matchup, and they come in with a one-game losing streak. Game will be on Saturday, September 25th in Starkville, Mississippi. So obviously, Bulldogs are the home team in this matchup, and it will be at 11 a.m. Central Time. Spread currently has LSU by 2.5. Over-under is 56 here. Mississippi State is favored in the FPI, however, 55.9. So obviously, I mean, we got the spread in the FPI. This is one of those rare occasions where we're seeing the FPI and the spread disagreeing with each other. Usually we'll see the spread and the FPI on one side, but not on this matchup. LSU is favored on the spread by 2.5, but FPI is going with the home team here, Mississippi State, at 55%. Series history, obviously both these teams have played each other a lot in their history, over 100 games in fact, and LSU leads it 75-36. So Tigers have had a significant amount more success in this matchup. But however, recently, I mean, Mississippi State actually won the last matchup in 2020. And that was a huge win for Mississippi State, by the way. I mean, that was I think that was the first game, and everyone was just shocked that LSU lost to Mississippi State. But in the last 10, LSU does lead it 7-3. So you can take into account how it's gone over the past decade as well. Stat comparison for this matchup: LSU's got 36 points per game on average so far this season, 22 points allowed, 303 pass yards on average, 85 rush yards. Then for yards allowed, 193 passing, 105 on the rushing end. As for Mississippi State, 29 points per game, 25 points allowed, 361 pass yards a game, 45 rush yards. So obviously, Mississippi State is a huge passing offense this season, without a doubt. I mean, Rodgers has been a really good quarterback for this team. He's played pretty well this season so far. I mean, obviously, when you're averaging over 350 pass yards a game, I mean, that definitely shows. And then for yards allowed, 243 passing for Mississippi State, 74 rush yards allowed. So obviously, I mean, both teams offensively have been playing pretty similarly. I mean, of course, LSU with Max Johnson, they've been a pretty heavy passing offense so far this season as well, at over 300 pass yards on average so far this season. Some key points for this one: both teams obviously are 2-1 heading into this matchup. Max Johnson, quarterback for LSU, playing pretty well so far this season without a doubt. Same thing with Will Rogers. I mean, you got two pretty good quarterbacks going head-to-head in this matchup here. But for LSU in particular, this is a crucial game for this team. I mean, obviously last year, this was the team that got LSU off to a rough start. And I mean, back in 2019, I mean, LSU completely just ruled the college football world pretty much. I mean, they won the national championship game that season, but since then, I mean, 2020, obviously, I mean, it was expected to be a down year just because of how much talent that they lost after the 2019 season. But 2021, now you've got some experienced players on this roster. This LSU team should be good. And so it is, I mean, it will be concerning for LSU if they do lose this matchup, because there's not as many excuses this time around. I mean, of course, last season, I mean, it was a COVID year, and we also saw, once again, as many losses as LSU had for 2019, their national championship season. But for 2021, I mean, this is an LSU team that should be just fine. You've got plenty of talent. So this is a crucial game for the Tigers here. But they played well the last 2 weeks against Central Michigan and McNeese State, so I'm not too concerned about LSU. But Mississippi State, close loss at Memphis last week, so overall, that wasn't a terrible loss. I mean, it was only by 2. Will Rogers off to a solid start without a doubt for the Bulldogs, so definitely be on the lookout for him. And they also have the home field. Don't forget about that. Bulldogs, when they got a packed stadium, I mean, it's a tough place to play without a doubt. So definitely keep that in mind as well heading into this matchup. But let's get to the prediction here. LSU, Mississippi State, 31-20. I'm going with LSU in this matchup by 11. So by a couple of scores, not too bad. I think LSU is just overall the more talented team, and they should win this game. I'm saying should because that doesn't mean that they will, but they should win this matchup. If Mississippi State does win, that once again is kind of concerning for LSU, because that will mean that they start off the season 2-2 off of a pretty easy first 4 games. I mean UCLA is obviously a talented team, but I mean there's not many excuses for this one. Mississippi State's a good football team, but I mean they're not anything insane right now. So yeah, LSU, they should win this matchup. I'm going 65% on their end. So I am pretty confident LSU wins it. I would be pretty surprised if Mississippi State wins it, but I mean, if the Bulldogs do win, good for them. That'd be a huge win on their end. Over-under is 56 here. I'm taking the under by 5 points here for this matchup. I think we see more of a defensive one than the over-under is expecting for this matchup here. So that being said, let me know your thoughts in the comments below on this matchup. I appreciate you guys all watching. Stay tuned for more from All Sports Central. I'll see you guys later.